That as a believer, long-term believer, this is something that we tend to skim over. Is just like, yeah, Jesus died. He died for our sins, and that's just the way that it is. But if we, go a layer deeper and explore, like, well, there's other historical figures who have died before, right? There are other people who were great people at that, or great teachers, or started revolutions and things like that. And so it causes us to ask the question, what is different about Jesus' death? What separates his death from, say, Martin Luther King or Mother Teresa or church fathers or things like that? What's the nuance there?
I love this question because there are other revolutionaries who have died, and people who were revolutionaries for good causes. And Dr. King is a great reference to that, someone who stood for something noble and powerful and then was assassinated. So that is an important question. And I think there's actually around Jesus' lifetime, on about 150 years before and 100 years after, there were specifically Jewish revolutionaries. So our best kind of comp, if you will, our best sort of comparison is with those two revolutionaries, and it'll reveal something really shocking about Jesus. The first comp is a guy named Judah Maccabees. Israel was being overrun by the Assyrians, and there is this ruler named Antiochus Epiphanes who comes in, he desecrates the temple, makes the Jewish priests offer a pig as a sacrifice. I mean, just like the height of desecration. And Judah Maccabees and his brothers lead this revolt. They cleanse the temple, and it is pure and it's what the Feast of Hanukkah commemorates. So if you have Jewish friends and you're like 8 crazy nights, like what's this about? That's the feast. It's Judah Maccabees. The trick is, after the Maccabean revolt, it all disappears. The movement dies with the people, right? 100 years after Jesus, the year AD 132, there's a guy named Simon Bar Kokhba, Simon, son of the star. And he led a revolt against Rome. And that revolt was successful, and it was so successful they actually minted coins to say a new era has begun. And they called it year 1. Except that it only went until year 3. And then the movement died, tragically, right? So that's one of the first things is the movements from these other revolutionaries tend to die. Now, but that's not always the case. You go, well, hang on, they didn't. That's not always true. You're right, other people carry them on. The second distinguishing factor is after Jesus' death, something must have happened because his followers didn't just carry on the movement, they began to worship him. And that's remarkable. So we honor Dr. King, and we think what a great leader, but we honor him by carrying on the legacy of civil rights, right, and equality. But with Jesus, they weren't just saying we honor his legacy. They were saying we worship him. And for Jewish people who believed in a monotheistic one God, no graven images, all this stuff, do you know how crazy that is? Like, what must have happened for them to say we worship him? And then, not just that they worshiped him, think about this. What was the symbol of early Christian worship and has been for 2,000 years? The cross. So you're going to take the instrument of his torturous, violent, shameful death and flip it into a symbol of awe and wonder and worship? That is historically unprecedented. Nobody's taken an electric chair or an AK-47 from a firing squad or whatever, or a lethal injection and started to, let's make jewelry from this. Let's all wear gold necklaces of a lethal injection or a chair, or like, we don't do this. Revolutionaries have tragic deaths that are the end of a movement and the end of the person, except for Jesus. And this is one of the things, it doesn't prove the resurrection, but it at least makes you ask the question, what happened? What happened to make monotheistic, good Jewish people who thought Jesus was either a rabbi or a revolutionary, all of a sudden flip it and go, no, something else is going on, and he's worthy of our worship, and we're going to take the instrument of his torturous death and flip it into an inspiration for worship.
It's powerful. I won't be able to look at a cross necklace the same, so thank you for that.